It happens when you're alone. It's late at night. Your phone in hand, but your mind, it's racing. Your heart, cold, numb. You scroll mindlessly, one finger moving over the screen like it's your only form of control. One more scroll, one more image, one more story you tell yourself. And you tell yourself it's normal. Everyone does it. It's just a release, just a way to cope. But deep down, you know it's not that simple. You feel something you can't quite name, a hollowness. It's the emptiness that remains even after you've clicked, even after the moment has passed. And what's worse, you're not even sure where it came from or why you keep going back to it. You think it's lust, but lust isn't the enemy here. Lust is just the symptom, the craving, the hunger, the gnawing feeling that you're missing something. It's not about a body. It's not about an image. It's not about sex. It's something far deeper than skin. It's a deep-rooted desire for connection. It's the loneliness that you try to silence with fleeting pleasures. And every time you indulge, every time you chase the body, the image, the illusion, you're left feeling even more hollow than before. And it's not just in that moment. It lingers. The emptiness never fully goes away. It sits with you, quietly, watching, waiting. Carl Jung, long before psychology started talking openly about these things, understood this part of the human experience better than anyone. He understood that this craving, this desperate need, isn't just about pleasure. It's about something deeper. Jung called it the sexual shadow. He didn't call it evil. He didn't say it should be destroyed. He said something far more uncomfortable. It should be integrated, because when you don't confront your sexual shadow, it will confront you. And when it does, it's never in the way you expect. It's not a one-time thing. It comes back again and again in different forms. Obsession, addiction, sabotaged relationships, emotional numbness, shame, guilt, fear, and countless other patterns that keep repeating no matter how much you try to change. But this shadow isn't just about repressed lust. It's about every part of your sexuality that society has told you is wrong, dirty, dangerous, or unworthy of love. It's the desire you denied, the experiences you buried, the fantasies you judged, the vulnerability you never allowed yourself to feel. And just like any part of the shadow, it doesn't disappear because you ignore it. The shadow waits, it grows, it festers, and eventually it shows up in ways that confuse and frighten you. Maybe you lash out at the people who make you feel desire. Maybe you chase meaningless encounters because intimacy terrifies you. Maybe you crave being dominated or have a secret wish to dominate, and you hate yourself for it. Maybe you confuse love with performance. Maybe you feel numb during sex. Or worse, maybe you can't feel anything at all. And then, what do? You label it dysfunction. You tell yourself there's something wrong with you. You blame yourself for your lack of control. But Carl Jung would argue that it's not dysfunction, it's disconnection. You're not broken, you're divided. The parts of yourself that you've pushed away, the parts you've deemed sinful or sick, have become your shadow. They don't just hide in the darkness. They're trying to return. They want to be seen. They want to be integrated into who you really are. But you're afraid to face them. You're afraid to look at what lies beneath the surface. And this is the truth. The sexual shadow is where your deepest wounds meet your deepest instincts, where repression becomes distortion, where shame becomes obsession, where the unloved part of you becomes dangerous. Jung warned that what you do not make conscious will come back as fate. Nothing is more powerful than the repressed sexual energy. And here's why. Because it's not just energy. It's identity. It's longing. It's your deepest, most honest desire, your soul trying to reach the surface. But most people don't talk about this. Not in therapy, not in spirituality, and definitely not in their private thoughts. They keep it locked away because it doesn't fit with the image they're trying to maintain. The good man, the pure woman, the enlightened person, the emotionally healed, morally untouchable version of themselves. But behind that mask, the shadow is burning, and the more you try to suppress it, the more power it gains over you. You might see it in your fantasies, the ones you didn't choose, but can't forget. In the dreams that leave you shaking. in relationships where you play roles you don't fully understand, in the guilt that appears when you try to feel good, in the quiet panic when someone sees too much of you. But the sexual shadow doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's silent, and that silence can become detachment, a disconnection so subtle that it feels normal. You call it low libido, you call it stress, you call it maturity, but the truth is, it's grief. It's the grief for the parts of you that were never allowed to be real, desire that never had a language, attraction that never had a home, power that was always considered too much. Jung didn't say the shadow should be obeyed. He said it should be known, seen, invited in, to be dialogued with, because once you begin that conversation with your shadow, something changes. You stop fearing yourself. You stop apologizing for being human, and you begin the terrifying yet beautiful process of becoming whole. This isn't about indulging every impulse. It's about understanding where the impulse comes from, what it's trying to say, what part of you it's trying to awaken. Because beneath the sexual shadow lies something sacred, your unmet need for wholeness, not just physical wholeness, but emotional, energetic, soul-level integration. The sexual shadow isn't proof that you're sick. It's proof that you're fragmented. And wholeness, finally, is reclaiming the parts of you that were buried. Jung once said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." This is where the journey begins. Not with fantasy, not with denial, but with a single honest question. What part of your desire have you buried, and what has it cost you to keep it hidden? That's the crack in the shell. The truth is, your sexual shadow isn't your enemy. It's the part of you that wants to come home. There's a reason you were taught to hide it, not just by your parents, not just by religion, not just by culture, but by the very structure of your psyche. Jung believed that the human mind doesn't develop as one unified whole. It splits, it fragments, it builds walls to survive. When you're young, anything that feels unsafe, unaccepted, or socially dangerous gets pushed underground. This isn't a flaw. It's a defense mechanism. The ego protects what it believes will help you function in the world, and it buries everything else. There's a reason why you're constantly chasing that next high. You tell yourself it's about feeling good, about escaping the pain, about finding something, anything, that will fill that void. But let's be honest, it's not just about the high. It's about avoiding something even deeper than the numbness, the loneliness, the disconnection. And in that craving, in that endless reaching, you're not chasing pleasure. You're chasing relief. Relief from the emptiness you've learned to ignore. Relief from the parts of you that are starving for attention, but you're too afraid to acknowledge them. These are the parts of you that were never allowed to feel, to express, to exist. So instead of sitting with the discomfort, you distract yourself. You scroll, you swipe, you binge watch, you turn to anything that momentarily makes you feel something. But every time you do, you're left with the same feeling, the same emptiness. And you tell yourself, this time it will be different. But it never is. Carl Jung called this the shadow, the parts of ourselves that we've denied, the parts we've buried deep within out of shame, fear, or societal conditioning. These are the parts of our psyche that we're too scared to confront. And so we project them onto others, chasing after things or people that remind us of the parts we can't access. You don't want her because she's perfect. You want her because she reminds you of something lost, something forbidden, something you can't have. It's not about sex. It's about connection, wholeness. Jung believed that we cannot truly heal or understand ourselves until we face our shadow. We can't move forward in our personal growth until we integrate the parts of ourselves we've cast aside. The constant craving, the lust, is not a call for mere pleasure. It's a call for integration. It's a signal from your soul that something is missing, that you're not whole. It's a symptom of your deeper spiritual hunger disguised as physical desire. And no matter how many times you feed it with shallow pleasures, the hunger will never go away. It will keep gnawing at you deeper and deeper until you face what it's really trying to show you. What's worse is that society doesn't help. Society encourages this disconnection. It sells you the idea that you need to keep performing, keep seeking, keep consuming, Keep pursuing. It tells you that fulfillment lies in the next quick fix, in the next hit of dopamine. But this only creates more fragmentation. It keeps you locked in a cycle of endless chasing, never fully satisfied, always looking for something more, something that deep down you know isn't the answer. Jung knew this better than anyone. He saw this in his patients, not in the form of sexual dysfunction or addiction, but in their spiritual hunger. What they were really craving wasn't more pleasure. They were craving connection to themselves, to their emotions, to their soul. But instead, they turned to lust, to external validation, to false comforts. They were trying to fill an emptiness that couldn't be satisfied by anything external. And this is the crucial insight. Your shadow isn't the problem. It's the unacknowledged part of you that needs to be integrated. The lust, the craving, the compulsions, they're not your enemies. They're symptoms. They're messages from your unconscious mind, trying to show you where you're divided. Jung said, "What we fail to make conscious becomes fate." If you keep ignoring these desires, these parts of yourself, they will continue to surface again and again in destructive patterns. It's easy to think that what you're doing is harmless. After all, it's just a fantasy, right? Just a quick release. But the truth is, every time you engage in these distractions, you're feeding a deeper disconnection, and eventually the cycle becomes too strong to ignore. It starts to control you. You begin to lose yourself in it, not realizing that what you're really chasing is a part of yourself you've been hiding from. This is where the work begins, by asking yourself the right question. What am I really trying to avoid? It's not about blaming yourself or feeling shame for your desires. It's about understanding that these cravings are trying to tell you something. They're showing you where you've been fractured, where you've abandoned parts of yourself. The question is, will you turn toward it? Will you face the parts of yourself that you've hidden? Or will you keep running, trying to fill the emptiness with more distractions, more lust, more escape? In order to understand this, you have to go deeper than just the surface-level craving. You have to look beyond the lust itself and see the loneliness beneath it. Jung believed that when we don't confront our shadow, it controls us. It manifests as addiction, obsession, and endless cycles of seeking. It manifests as that feeling of emptiness that always follows the high. But when we begin to face our shadow, when we begin to see what it's really telling us, something profound happens. We start to reclaim ourselves. Jung didn't say we should destroy our shadow. He said we should integrate it. We should sit with it, listen to it, learn from it. Because underneath the lust, the compulsive cravings, the endless distractions, there is a deeper truth waiting to be discovered. And it's only when we acknowledge this truth that we can begin to heal, to become whole. Not by running from our desires, but by understanding them, not by shaming ourselves, but by reclaiming the parts of ourselves we've lost. This is the work, to stop running, to stop chasing, to stop feeding the endless cycle, and to finally turn inward. Because when you do, when you stop avoiding the shadow, you stop being controlled by it. You begin to experience real connection, not the illusion of intimacy, not the performance of desire, but the raw, vulnerable, powerful experience of truly feeling. You can only hide from yourself for so long. That desire, that craving, it doesn't disappear. It lingers, festers, and starts showing up in other ways. Sudden bursts of anger, irrational jealousy, and even a deep sense of emptiness. The more you try to ignore it, the stronger it gets. And you know it, but you keep telling yourself it's just lust, just a quick escape, a temporary fix. But Jung saw it differently. Lust, addiction, obsession, they're all signs of disconnection. They're not about the physical release. They're about the soul's desperate plea for attention. The soul wants to feel whole, to feel seen, to feel loved. But instead, we turn to distractions. We seek pleasure, but it's never enough. Why? Because we're not just craving the act. We're craving the connection we've been denying ourselves for so long. When you're stuck in this cycle, it's easy to convince yourself that this is normal, that this is just how things are. But Jung would say, this is the shadow. It's the part of you that's been abandoned, the part that was told it was wrong, dirty, or unworthy. It's the parts of yourself that have been buried deep within, and the more you avoid them, the more power they gain. It's not just lust, it's the search for wholeness. The truth is, no matter how much you chase after the next hit, the next fix, you'll never feel truly fulfilled. It's like trying to fill a bottomless pit. The emptiness grows, and the craving intensifies. You can keep pretending it's just lust, but deep down, you know it's more than that. It's a spiritual hunger disguised as desire. You're not broken, you're divided, and that division comes from ignoring the parts of you that have been abandoned, the parts that were never allowed to feel, to express, to exist. And now those parts are coming back. They're showing up in the form of lust, in the form of craving, in the form of addiction. But what they're really trying to do is get your attention. They're trying to tell you that there's something deeper beneath the surface, something that you've been avoiding. This isn't about shame. It's about reconnection. It's about integration. Jung didn't say we should try to eliminate these desires. He said we should understand them. We should listen to what they're trying to tell us. Beneath the lust, beneath the craving, lies the truth of who you are, and the truth that the more you hide from it, the more it controls you. But here's the catch. You can't heal what you don't face. You can't reconnect with yourself if you keep running away from who you really are. And this is the hardest part, admitting that the things you've been running from, the desires you've been denying, are not your enemy. They're the parts of you that have been exiled. They're the parts of you that need to be loved, accepted, and integrated. It's time to stop pretending. Stop chasing what's only a temporary fix. Stop trying to escape, because when you face your shadow, when you embrace the parts of you that have been hidden for so long, you begin to heal. You begin to feel whole again, not because you suppress your desires, but because you understand them. You understand that underneath every craving, every addiction, every compulsive thought is the desire to be whole. When you start this journey of self-awareness, of self-acceptance, things begin to change. Lust, desire, craving, they no longer control you. Instead, they become a part of your whole self, integrated, understood, and transformed. And with that transformation comes true intimacy. Not the fleeting moments of pleasure you've been chasing, but deep connection. Connection with yourself, with others, with life itself. But this isn't easy. It's a journey that requires you to confront the parts of you that you've kept in the dark. It requires vulnerability. It requires honesty. And most importantly, it requires you to stop running from yourself. Because the longer you avoid it, the more power it has over you. The truth is, your desire, your lust, it's not an isolated flaw. It's a mirror reflecting the parts of you that have been neglected, pushed away, or misunderstood. It's not about what's wrong with you, but what's been hidden for too long. And until you face it, until you stop running from it, that emptiness will remain. Carl Jung's wisdom tells us that these feelings, these cravings, are not your enemy. They are a call for wholeness, a call for integration. They are your soul aching for attention. When you stop ignoring it, stop fighting against it, and start accepting it, you begin to reclaim the parts of you that were abandoned. Wholeness is not perfection. It's the union of opposites within you. So the next time you feel that hunger, that craving, pause. Don't run. Don't escape. Instead, ask yourself, what part of me am I avoiding? What am I really seeking when I chase this desire? Is it the body, or is it the connection I've been missing all along? It's time to stop looking outward for validation, for release. True healing starts within. It starts with the courage to look at the parts of you that have been denied, the parts that have been hidden. Only then can you truly feel whole. Only then can you begin to experience true connection, not just with others, but with yourself. Because when you embrace your shadow, when you make it a part of you, lust no longer controls you. You can transform it into something sacred, something that fuels your life, your creativity, and your connection. This is not about repression. It's about understanding, integration, and presence. So, are you ready to face your shadow, to stop running from your desires and start understanding them? The path is not easy, but it's the only path that leads to true wholeness. And when you walk that path, the craving will lose its grip. You'll no longer seek emptiness. You'll seek connection. Stay present. Stay with yourself. Reclaim the parts of you that were lost.